All right. On to question 3. How does forgiveness restore joy in our hearts and marriage? All right. Do you want to start? Do you want to answer this one first, or would you want me to
Yeah, you
answer it?
can answer. One second.
So when I forgive, and this is something that we've been actively learning and we have kind of got better at. I won't say that we are, pros at it, because there's just some things sometimes where we just like,
The pride sometimes
it's
still
too
comes
much.
in.
It's too much. Like, this girl is just. But then, you got to also realize that we are human. We are all short to what God expects from humanity because of sin that entered into the world. And the moment that you don't bring God in the middle of it, you have already lost and you have already fallen short. So when we get into situations, um, the best thing that I like to do is be able to pray. Be able to pray. I will pray, pray, pray. God, take this feeling out of my heart. Take this feeling out of, my flesh. Even though that I know it's gonna be there because I'm human, I always bring him in the middle of it, because by his power, by his love, by his control over all things, he can easily, instantly take it out. And let me tell you, the moment that I pray those things and um, I really ask God to forgive not only myself, because I know that it's hard. It's a process for me to forgive my wife. So I also have to ask for forgiveness, because God doesn't like that. He can easily forgive me, but I can't forgive my wife. So I ask for forgiveness for myself, but then I also ask God to help me forgive my wife. And then when I do that, a flood of like memories of us, like the way I think about you, just starts to come in my mind and into my heart, and I start to think about the good things, think about the amazing times that we had, and how beautiful you are, and how much I love looking at you, and how you are my perfect partner. And it makes me think about the circumstance. It makes me realize that, like, you know this circumstance is so small compared to everything that God has given us and everything that we are for one another. So, you know, I think that's where joy restores into my heart. Hey, no, no, don't touch it. Leave it. Over here throwing the rocks up in the air and running. Okay, what if it hits you and but that's where a good shepherd comes in, and that's where, and that's one thing God is showing me and teaching me through his word, through the way that he deals with us. It helps me be a better dad and a husband for my family, because you have to start thinking more critical and start thinking more like, you have to think, and a lot of people don't be thinking nowadays. I think that's the problem. They just go off of what they feel, off of what they feeling, but we have to go off of what God thinks, not off of what we think. So that's actually what the problem is. We go off of what we think rather than going off of what God thinks or what God says. So yeah, I think that's how forgiveness restores the joy, because when I learned to forgive my wife and forgive the circumstance and forgive myself, um, a flood of, you know, happiness comes into my heart, and that's all because of God. I could have sat there and just been mad all day, allowed the pride to, sink in and stay in, and and we've done that many times before. We've gone on so many silent treatments where we all go for days without even talking to each other, and like you could just feel the energy. You can feel it, like, and like, for me at least, you could feel it in your heart, and I think that's the worst thing to feel. So
Mine would be the more that I get into learning about Christ, like learning, getting in depth with the Bible, or just learning of the fruits of the spirits, it helps me to acknowledge that if I want to be more like Christ, then I would have to do the same things that he does for us, so that I'm able to forgive and I can have that joy inside me. So I always like to place in my mind that when I am mad, or I'm hurt, or I am feeling some type of way, I like to tell myself, well, God forgives us, or God still loves us. God, still does all these things for us. So why can I not do it? So in that sense, me learning and just keeping stuff in my mind and my heart helps me to do the right thing that Christ does for us, and it helps me to just place that joy back inside me, because I know that if I can do those things that God does for us, then that just means I'm also fulfilling God's part that I'm able to work on. So I would say that part. I would say that just being like Christ helps me to find that joy again inside me. Being able to forgive others helps me to find that joy. Being able to love people the right way that Christ loves us helps me to put that joy back inside. Or just doing anything, serving people, or putting a smile, just doing anything that Christ does. And because we are a reflection, correct?
Yes.
We are a reflection, so that just basically puts that joy back inside you, because that's what Christ does for us. So yeah.
What do you want?